Hey guys, it's Matt. Time to have a little... What the hell is going on with this microphone again? Piece of shit. Sorry. Took me over a month to figure out you just pull the plug in the back of the microphone and push it right back in. The old Mac that's almost 15 years old, that's just plug and play. Everything works. The quote, new Mac, it's all effed up. Every 6 weeks or so it says, download a new version of the operating system, download a new version, or if you keep your Mac on, it'll download in the middle of the night. Oh, isn't that convenient? So then I download the new version of the operating system. It's some touchy-feely California term as usual, and then Mike screen capture. It's like, hey, guys, hey, it's Matt, piece of shit. Sorry, it's Bill's poster night again. Bill, I would say a third of what he sent me, I can't even show you on this platform. It would have to be free voice. It's that sort of thing. But we've seen this one before. Just reintroducing it's Bill's poster that using all that jazz is converted into all that distracts. The entire reality is out to do this to real people in the little time they have here on this place called Earth. Let's get right to Jen's poster. She's going to kill me because it's taken months for me to show it. I'm trying not to shame myself anymore. I walk by beautiful flowers, but I'm stressed about something. I'll say, shame on you, Matt, for not enjoy. Well, in this case, I will do it. Shame on you, Matt, for not showing Jen's Cake in a Lake poster. I'm not sure I can use the word fake too close to an important event that we're talking about, so I've learned to just play it safe and say that on the news? That bullshit? That's Cake in a Lake. It's Cake in a Lake. It means fake. People show up at this channel. They've put in like 2 videos worth of time and they want to be completely filled in. Like, what's not milk? I demand to be filled in immediately. What is not milk? Put in a few months. Then make your demands. Cake in a Lake. What is Cake in a Lake? Put in a few videos. It's not immediate gratification or satisfaction with lotion. Look at this beautiful job. This ain't, people like, that ain't nothing but AI art. No, it's not. I believe, Jen, she did this herself. It's incredible. It's got the magenta. It's got the owl, not Milk Lake. Shame on me if I don't show it more often. Thank you, Jen. We'll see what's coming up, but I think all the rest of the posters are from Bill. A lot of them have built up. Most of these, or almost all of these, I haven't shown you. And Bill's the only person on the Earth. You can't say planet. No, he said planet. He's the only person with a more warped and bizarro sense of humor than I do, if that's even possible. Now, there's nobody on the planet that hates AI art more than Bill. In fact, you can't even use the word art next to AI. And other people have come to me as well and said, Matt, call it a rendering. Don't. I'll try not to call it art. I don't know. Okay. But there's nobody that hates it more than Bill. So he's got here Neil of the grass-fed bison. Good morning, class. Today I'm going to take you through a simple 3-step AI image generation lesson. Number 1, imagine there was no God, only a Big Bang. I'm reading this for the first time. Well, I read it when it came in, but I forget what it's. Number 2, okay, let's make some art. I mean, image generation. Class, here's where you skip about 15 years of formal education and you just magically make shit in DALL-E. Then you can put your shit into Unreal Engine and presto. Number 3, you can now flush your, quote, real soul down your Unreal toilet and kiss your real ass goodbye. Calgon, take him away. So according to Bill here, it is a Ouija board. If you're, according to Bill, I know a lot of you play with the AI art, but he's basically saying you're taking a risk with your soul when you play with it. I'll ask Greg about that. Over to the right, it's Nicolas Cage's head coming out of the shark's mouth. Top left says, true story, somewhere in Hollywood. Sir Not Milk, if I may, based on your studio's success with Cocaine Bear, I've got Nick Cage signed to play Cocaine Shark. And here's the kicker. He'll act this time on cocaine. He calls it character acting. What do you say? Well, it's a pitch meeting. He's pitching a new idea to the person. You're supposed to be the guy making the decision behind the desk. Anybody see? I like dumb movies. Cocaine Bear, I mean, that looked beyond dumb. It was dumb even from my perspective, and I liked stupid stuff. This image speaks for itself. It's 100% true. The top says, shitting out the news 24/7. The bottom says, all that distracts One World News Agency. So Bill has, as the Minister of Information, the source of all One World News, he has the representation of it is the D-Wave computer. Geordie Rose's a snow cone machine, and she's got eyes and lips, and everything around it is all the brands and news outlets that are blended in the back that we know that were given. I see the Philadelphia Inquirer there, the Arab Weekly, New York Times, USA Today. It all comes from the same place. It all comes from the same bot at this point. There is literally, from 1984, a Minister of Information here. If you would have told somebody that when the book came out, or when the movie even came out in 1984, and said, this will be literally true, even people like us wouldn't have believed it. Oh, it's true. We've looked at this one before, but a few more things here. Bill, via this poster, pointed out to me that in the Great Reset, you see the 666 in the E's when you mirror it. Somebody recently pointed out to me, World Economic Forum, WEF, FEW, the few, if you reverse it. Yeah, no doubt about it. And look at Santa Claus. Look at Santa Claus. Who dresses like that? Can you just go into a store and buy that? I mean, what is that? Oh, hello, sir. Can I help you today? Yes, here's a picture of Klaus Schwab on my phone here. I'd like to look like this. Do you have this outfit or anything that you're Quantum of Conscience? Yeah, you subscribe to no, I don't subscribe. My cousin who's in a psychiatric hospital, he knows you. He showed me. So you want to look like that? I want to look like this. Do you have the Klaus Schwab apparel here? Looking briefly over this one, it appears Bill doesn't believe that William Shakespeare is a legitimate character in history and that he wrote all of this. So it's on the left it says, and all of this was written by one man. Can you believe that? And the professor is giving his lecture, as all professors in universities believe every bit of what they're told. And the student here can see through it. He's laughing his ass off. In the magenta or purple, it says the original Tavistock, and others would say the Bacon Society wrote all of this. Yeah, the whole Shakespeare story is probably a total bunch of BS. I guess Bill's got representation from Henry VIII, top left, all the different plays back there. What did Rodney Dangerfield say in Back to School? I'd like to tame her shrew or something like that. There's the taming of the shrew, whatever that means. There's Macbeth. Every single version of Macbeth is you can't completely unintelligible, if that's even the right word. You cannot understand a damn scene. You can't understand a damn word. But if you watch, I almost said Sir. If you watch blank Laurence Olivier doing Hamlet, I mean, you can understand every bit of that. That's Shakespeare done right, not these new versions of Macbeth. Horrible shit, these new versions of Macbeth. What does he say? Get thee to a nunnery, bitch. It's not Macbeth, you Philly asshole. It's Macbeth. It ain't a McNugget. Go back to Philly, South Philly. Pronounce it right. It's Shakespeare, you dolt. Oh no, what's this? I had to mask it, lest I may have issues with the loading. It's a Not Milk Life Productions presents over 30 years of Alec Baldwin shower scenes. Apparently, Bill came back to me and said, Matt, when he was washing his or whatever he was doing in the Hunt for Red October, all bent over, saying, how do you get somebody to want to get off a nuclear vessel? There's other shower scenes with Alec that satisfy the requirement. Remember the requirement for all Hollywood actors? They have to play this role, that role. Bill's pointed out to me, he's had other roles, not just the bullcrap that just happened with his legal problems. I should have said this earlier, guys. I'll turn the quality up as high as I can. If you get a chance, freeze frame some of these posters and really look at the detail that Bill puts in here. We'll look at this one in general in a minute, but to the right, on either side of the bed, there's two pictures. He has Bezos's face framed in the damn picture frames on the right. There's just details everywhere. That's one of the original pictures of teenager Melvin P. of the Belinda and Melvin P. Foundation, that famous picture leaning across the computer. This takes a long time. That's why Bill is so not welcoming. We'll put it that way, of the AI art. Bottom right, not the never-ending story, the never-ending not milk story. You've got Bezos. Hey, Bezos! Bezos in the chair there. On top of the D-Wave is Elon Musk. What are those things called? what is he playing in one in each hand? Maracas? It's a malacca playing the maracas. Bill Gates lying across the first DOS computer. Wasn't that a special moment in tech history? And then on the left it says, it looks like the kid from the Wonder Years, but I think it's supposed to be the kid from the Neverending Story. Bastian's from the Neverending Story. Bastian, my boy. Okay, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, there were a bunch of billionaires, sad, lonely, pathetic, pissed off piles of shit who couldn't really spend their fortunes the way it stops, but the way they were told they could, or the deal they thought they were being sucked into, as we've joked about in the past. I mean, literally, if Melvin P's net worth now they say is, what is it? Oh, he's giving it all away, but it's up to about 110 to 115 billion. That's half of Bezos. But if he goes to the state fair of Washington, I don't even think they have the state fair in Washington State anymore. It's a liability risk. They got rid of it. He'd have to wander over into Idaho or something. But if he goes to the state fair, he has to actually get permission to spend $10 on a corn dog. They can't spend their own money the way people believe they can. There's no doubt about that. They never do anything meaningful with their money other than what basically, quote, the Not Milk says they can do. Buy other companies, do research on Action Jacksonation Carl Weathers movies, all the stuff that the Not Milk tells them to do. What's the point of having the money? You know that it's almost like a rule here or a law. They could never use their money for any good or never even use their money in the way that they decide. Somebody came to me a few years ago with a really interesting theory and said something like, these billionaires and how ridiculously wealthy they're getting, it's basically said something like, it's just a place where the Not Milk can park money. So if Bezos someday is worth $1 trillion, it's a place to park money. In this case, it could be like an inflation hedge. If Bezos is sitting on $1 trillion, that's $1 trillion that's not going to flood into the system. I mean, what we know, they can't use the money that they say is their money for what they want to do with it. It creates a variety of different accounts. You get into the term laundering to a degree. I mean, does ultimately the Fed and whoever creates the trillions, do they need all these little devices? It doesn't seem like it, but it was just interesting the way it was presented to me years ago. Like, we know they can't do what they want with their money, and it's like a Not Milk account where billions and billions can be parked. It almost is, in a way, relates to why these athletes' salaries, 150 million over 7 years for some guy that sits the bench in Major League Baseball. I mean, it's getting so absurd. Somebody would say to me, or the same person would probably say, it's like a place for the money to go. And, anybody listening to this, well, how come they can't park it in my mailbox? But they will take care of their own. And in other words, there's just no way to justify or explain how the salary of athletes is going the way it's going. Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers, then I think he's on the Brooklyn Nets right now, probably listening to me, is a true bum. A bum in every sense of the word. Just given opportunity after opportunity, everywhere he went, every season, other than a few seasons where he showed signs of greatness. Didn't want to work hard, couldn't hit a foul shot, can't hit a jump shot. He's going to walk away from basketball, and I'm not trying to piss anyone off. It does bother me to a degree as well. He's going to walk away with $190 million or so. And he's literally a bum. There's another reason why these athletes are getting paid the amounts they are. The old formula is completely broken down. Well, Matt, you do ticket sales and ticket prices and then people that show up and commercial sponsors, advertisers in the stadium, deals with the TV networks, deals with the radio stations, and then the athletes are going to make sure they get a percentage of that. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. During the 2 years of See the Me, when nobody showed up for the most part, and everything supposedly dropped off, nothing happened to the negotiating power of the teams regarding the athletes' salaries. No team ever went out of business. No team said, we can't pay these players, and they just are going to get rid of them. No, See the Me, nobody showed up in the stadiums for a year. That didn't change anything. It has nothing to do with the formula that we were given on the 3x5 card. There's no way to justify how high these salaries are getting other than looking in weird places like we've been doing. Before starting here, please notice the Death Star top left. Top left, behind David Icke's Saturn Moon Matrix. Matt, it's David Icke. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I will appear dyslexic and ignorant to that guy. It's Icke to me. until he can explain to me personally how he can sell out Wembley Stadium. Remember what Ben Affleck said? You suspect. I'm suspect of anybody that can sell out Wembley Stadium. I've been observing the Not Milk. See, if the Not Milk wants you to sell out Wembley Stadium, even if he believes everything he's saying, you're probably saying some things that the Not Milk wants. Okay, it's Icke to me until I understand that little factor. It says true lies. NASA. Space ain't what we say it is since 1958. 1958, the founding of NASA. July 29th, 1958. 29th, 9, 10, 11. Oh, of course, the numbers are going to be in there. Ain't my thing, but that's how they operate. Right on the NASA website, though, it says the term. It literally says, did not open for business until October 1st, 1958. So July 29th, founded, didn't open for, quote, business. Busyness. Business. Right on the NASA website, we don't for business until October 1, 1958. It's a business. One of the NASA fanboys would love to come to me, or maybe a big supporter of that Krone vintage space, and say, Matt, of course it's a business. They're in the business of exploring the stars. Oh, yeah, that's right. They're in the business of that Captain Kirk horse shit. Let me tell you what stars have been explored. Squat! And once again, as we're so used to seeing, the forked tongue of the vector that Bill has so eloquently has almost touching the end of the dragon's tail, like the top of the Sistine Chapel. God almost touches Adam. Is this a Sistine Chapel allusion, Bill? It could be. It really could be. That's the way his demented sense of humor works. The forked tongue of the vector. And I could say to my friend Tony, why do all the fake cake and lake space agencies around the world all use the same terminology, all have the same symbolism, all have the same vector? Oh, he'd run a script. They would look up to the stars, as most people do, and they'd get a download. He'd say, Matt, don't you know that the vector and certain symbolism associated with space travel goes back to the hopes and dreams of ancient civilizations? And it makes sense why the U.S. and other space agencies would adopt the vector and use the same sort of symbolism. I don't think it would be a great idea to say this to the people we care about around us, but sometimes we want to, don't we? We just want to say, where'd you get that download from? What? Where'd you get that download from? What frequency gave you that horse shit? We carry our cross, folks. It's better to keep it to yourselves. Bill has a very apt definition of egregor here in his egregor poster, reading top right. Egregor, pronounced egregor, is an autonomous entity that is created by the thoughts of multiple people working for a common goal. Created by the thoughts of multiple people working for a common goal. The more people believe in it, the stronger it becomes. It can influence the actions and thoughts of the people in the group. The egregor and the people that created it have a symbiotic relationship. This symbiosis has been compared to the relationship between a corporation and its members, a corporation and its customers, its vendors, its employees, basically anything it interacts with. People have been telling me it's hard to find the movie Branded. I haven't been able to find it recently. I saw it years ago. It is hard to find. Why do I want to say it's Russian made, but I believe it's in English? I don't know. But it is hard to find. Maybe, guys, if you can find an old DVD or something, maybe, there's too much truth there. Maybe the Not Milk is slowly removing any traces of the movie Branded. I doubt it's going to pop up being featured on Netflix or Prime soon. I mean, maybe eBay, whatever it is. I mean, it's not going to blow you away. It's not that great. It's very interesting, but it is true for the most part. If anybody's new to this concept, pick a major corporation or brand, McDonald's. The idea is there's been so many people that have worked for McDonald's, so many people that said to their kids, let's go get McDonald's, and thought about McDonald's, and we're doing it now, unfortunately, we have to, and thought about it and gave it energy. All this, energy cannot be created or destroyed, all this Fig Newton horse shit. It creates an entity of some kind. Not that you're going to be able to pull out a chair and it can talk to it and share a cigarette with it, or Peter Stuyvesant over a port wine, but it's an entity of some kind. It's called a tulpa, a thought form entity. In some way, in this place, it's for lack of any better word, alive. It's confined to this place. It doesn't have spiritual ties out of here or anything like that. But in some way, it's alive, and it's somehow, as it grows in power, it starts influencing more like the employees that work for it. Corporate culture is real, folks. Bill will tell you all the different places, and he's been over his career. I've worked for this company, and hey, it's an insurance company. It's okay. The people are somewhat friendly. But then you go to another company, and it's like being amongst demons. You've all experienced it, and because they kind of have synced themselves to this frequency or this radio station, which is the corporate culture, which in a way is dictated by the egregor, whatever that means. And if you're not somebody that's compatible with that, oh man, you have problems right off the bat in this new group you've joined or this new corporation. Corporate culture is potentially driven by this egregor thing that hangs in the shadows. It doesn't mean it's plotting and planning and thinking the way you do. It's just the concept of if you put enough moving parts together with thought energy, the energy of real people, creative power. How many trillions of times has a real person thought about McDonald's or said the word McDonald's? Something forms, something grows. The idea is all that energy coming from real people has to go somewhere. And the egregor, it collects it up. And we don't know if every corporation has its own egregor, or it could go on and on, like the Department of Defense in the United States. Is that its own egregor, or is the U.S. Army itself its own egregor, which would be different than the U.S. Navy egregor? Where does it stop? Does the Rolling Stones as a group have an egregor? Again, you can't think of this something that walks and talks, that's going to walk around the corner and there's the Rolling Stones egregor running around the side of the curtain. It's not like that. It's just we're probably personifying it and assigning traits to it just so we can understand it. But it is a way. This knot milk is an energy vampire, and it uses its egregores to feed itself and to perpetuate itself. Matt, going back to the second line, created by the thoughts of multiple people working for a common goal. Well, we're people here that want to work for a common goal. And Matt, why don't we create our own egregore? No. No. It's not a great idea, guys. Let's just say we did work together to try to create whatever this thing is. Let's say we wanted to dabble in this. Okay, I'm a worry about yourself type journey person. Okay, but let's say we wanted to dabble in this. Okay, what have we created? Let's just say the size of whatever we could do compared to the size of the Nike egregore, or the McDonald's egregore, or the United States Department of Defense egregore, or the Lockheed Martin egregore, or the egregore associated with the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. You think it's going to get squashed, and then I think maybe you're trying to play in its realm. The one thing we've learned more than anything else is you don't play its game. You want to try to create something to play its game for the stuff that it's created over 100 years? It's like going in, let's say the knot milk trains at a gym. Different egregores represent different things, and this gym is literally Mike Tyson in his heyday. Iron Mike, and Hulk Hogan in his best shape. Andre the Giant. Bruce Lee at the pinnacle. These are the egregores if you want to navigate and play on its field. It's home field. You want to go in there, we can take this little scrawny dude in here, create our egregore, and we can train and fight. You don't fight on its field. You don't enter its ring. You do shit it doesn't like, it doesn't expect or want you to do. This is literally the gigantic holographic sign banner before the portal where you incarnated to Earth. You went right through this hologram before you went into the portal to incarnate to Earth. It was like, you ever go to a car show where it's like this gigantic convention center? That's where souls went. All this convention center, people selling their wares, people, come to Earth, check us out, come to Earth. Some of us actually took this bait, and we went into Earth. It was like a giant fair, carnival, like a car show, but for souls. This was the giant hologram before the portal that you walked into. Welcome to Earth, the ultimate soul test. A one-world system, layer cake of lies, scam-o-rama production. Please buckle your seatbelt and keep your hands inside the ride at all times. Protect your spirit, because you're in a place where spirits get eaten. Little souls are gathering around, and one of their friends breaks off from the bunch. Harry! Harry, where you going? You're not thinking about going to Earth. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah. What's wrong? Why not? Harry, don't go in there, man. I've heard things about that. That's hardcore pipe hitting shit. If you go into that place, per the quote at the bottom, protect your spirit because you're in a place or going to a place where spirits get eaten. I'm already hearing from the no consequences people. They're already sending me notices. My Twitter that I don't have is blowing up. My email, they're amassing out front. The no consequences people. Matt, tell your people that your spiritual self can't get eaten up. The no consequences people say inside the earth realm. The point, Matt, is it will appear that way. It has to appear that way for you to get something out of it. It has to be believable. But you're not going to go in there if you could be eaten up spiritually. Part of you is not going to send another part of you in there if you could lose it all or go into the Pope's abyss. It seems that way, Matt, because it has to seem that way. If this is not taken seriously, then nothing will be gained from it. There has to at least appear to be a tremendous consequence if you mess up. All right, but the beauty of it is I don't do what I do for a reward. I don't do what I do because anybody's watching. I don't do what I do because there might be a consequence or there might not be. I'm going to do the same thing either way. So it doesn't matter to me. Whatever. I understand the argument. But I think if you're going to do, no matter what circumstance presents itself in terms of changing the parameters, and you're still going to, what are you going to do? The same thing I did yesterday. What are you going to do? The same thing I did the day before. But now that you have this new information, aren't you going to change up how you're going to live your life? No. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, the other part, something that really triggers people, I don't know why there's a 5% in this community, I doubt at this channel, but they're very triggered when you talk about life as a test or a school. Oh, are they triggered? You've heard these. I wrote about this in the book for a few pages. What does it matter what label you put on it? We all agree. We're here for a reason. Almost, you wouldn't be here if we're here for a reason. No matter what your religion is, we're here for a reason. Okay, so if it's a reason, then what does it matter if you put the word test on it or school onto it? He gets so triggered. It's not a test, not a school. If you learn something, then by a certain definition, it's a school or a test. Doesn't matter. Triggered people, they're not quite as triggered as the Mandela effect, Gestapo. They're really triggered. Final point here back to the quote, because you're in a place where spirits get eaten. I just want to stress my position in this one area has not changed at all. I've alluded to it many times over the years. If you could, let's say it is two sides of a coin and the Earth experience. If you had to pick one or the other, it can be both. I'm not saying it's one or the other, but if I had to pick, is it a place where you level up, become a four-dimensional being, or become something greater, or is it a place where your goal is just to hold on, the exact opposite, not to increase your number of soul tokens or make your light brighter? Or the opposite of the coin, is it just a place to hold on to your tokens, to hold on to the edge of the cliff, to hold on versus level up, becoming a being of light, becoming a being of 5D? I've always said this, and I'm still exactly in the same camp. If I had to pick one or the other, this is a place to hold on to yourself. Won't worry about becoming a greater this or greater that. Just get out of here with every piece of you intact. Every time I see Braveheart, Robert the Bruce, with Longshanks on the throne, it's time to survive. This is a time to hold on to yourself. I could not be more adamant in my belief about that. But Matt, you talked about what you're presenting in the book. Part 1, seeing through the trick. Part 2, doing the self-work. But again, I'm going to stress, I said earlier the premise, if I had to pick one or the other side of the coin, the holding on to yourself is much more important. That doesn't mean that's all I'm going to do, just huddle in my basement with a blanket over my head. That's why the work to me is small wins, noticing the flower, taking care of the animal, seeing a certain friend or relative in a different light instead of hating them, changing your perspective, seeing the little wins. Of course, it's not all one or the other. I want to make sure that's stressed. It was just posited if I had to pick one. The holding on to yourself is more important. Certainly, The little wins have to be, that's different. The little wins of what we can do here for ourselves is not rising up into a being of light like we've heard these YouTube channels do, those ascending into 5D or whatever. Maybe we're going to do that at some point, but that's not what this experience is for in this hardcore pipe hitting place. A lot of Bill's stuff is about the famous Dealey Plaza Two Asses in a Nation event. If anybody's two asses in a nation. Spell out what happened. It's two asses in a nation. Almost every quote important word these creeps have put together has some sort of a dual meaning. So at the top right, Walter Cronkite is on television. I'm Walter Cronkite. We're sorry to interrupt As the World Turns, which they did break into. What a coincidence. As the World Turns. We have a very, very special bulletin. Bulletin. We'll get onto that in a second. Please be on the lookout for Man, Bear, Pig who uses magic bullets. And that's the way it is. Man, Bear, Pig who uses magic bullets. And that's the way. And the entire family parrots back, very small. The entire family says, that's the way it is. 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 Just taking in the download, taking in the brainwashing, the news. And you're getting very sleepy. The first commercial break was a hypnotist's, what do you call the damn thing where the watch goes back and forth? You're getting very sleepy. The first commercial they took was the hypnotist with the watch swinging back and forth like a pendulum. Oh, Matt, you people seeing your apophenia and things that don't exist and making... oh, yeah, it's just a coincidence. Yeah, from coincidence they broke into As the World Turns. CBS News. CBS News Bulletin. JFK. Come on, man. And this police officer here on the left that's Jackie interviewing her. It says, don't worry, they can't see you. It's a two-way mirror. Okay, now, is there anything else? She says, oh, yes, there is something else. He used magic bullets. Because how do you know that? I've read the Warren Report. At the bottom it says, Miss First Lady, you say you saw half man, half bear, half pig, and you saw him near the knoll where we picked up these other suspects? Matt, this one's ridiculous. Why do you think it's done like this? Because literally the official story that they went out with was literally as absurd and ridiculous as this poster. There's almost no difference. Other than maybe the half-man, bear-pig. The stuff that the population bought. My father, to this day, it was, of course, it's Lee Harvey. That's all there. Of course, that's all it was. He doesn't even buy into the conspiracy that was laid down per Vincent Salandria. The Warren Commission laid down the conspiracy on purpose to get the breadcrumb chase going the very next day or the very next week, starting with the Jack Ruby guiding light incident under the set and the lights. Give me a break. It's presented like this because what the American people believe is just as stupid as what's here. It is unfathomable to anybody like us that can think. Matt, you still with us? I think so. I don't know what to say. Marley, and this is the Jacob Marley from my favorite George C. Scott version. Never watched the new FX versions. They're really sick bastardization of A Christmas Carol. This goes back to 1985, the George C. Scott. This is the Jacob Marley from that one. Marley and Musk merged minds. That's 4 M's. Eminem. Matt, what's being said here? I don't know. So all I can say is many times genius flirts with insanity. I didn't even know this until Bill sent me this poster. We've talked many times that Humpty Dumpty is a stuffed Lenin. Anything carried through time artificially that has no right to survive for even 20, 30, 50 years, let alone hundreds of years, is artificially being carried through time by reality itself because of its importance or its meaning or spiritual meaning to real people. I didn't know this. This is about Humpty Dumpty. Now, I thought there was one version that just goes back hundreds of years. No. I'll read them to you. I know you can't see it. Bill has all the versions. 1797. And who knows, if this is just the official record. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. But 80 men and 80 more could not make Humpty Dumpty where he was before. Okay? 1810. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, had a great fall. 60 men and 60 more cannot place Humpty Dumpty as he was before. Well, who made the change? Who decided to change it? And how did the change get adopted? It's becoming even more and more artificial than what I thought it was. 1842, Humpty Dumpty lay in a beck. The hell's that? With his sinews, around his neck. 40 doctors and 40 rights couldn't put Humpty Dumpty to rights. So that's a real screwed up bastardization, adulterization. They should have just left the 1810 version. That sucks. Current version, all the king's horses and all the king's men. Because the modern Homo sapien, double dumb, can't understand 60, 40. They just say all the king's horses. Who made the change? How was the change universally adopted? Do you know how artificial this is? The Cheers bar at the top with Norm and Sam, whatever, depicts, what we've talked about 10 times. Okay, go back to the original, 1797. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, had a great fall. 80 men and 80 more could not make Humpty Dumpty where he was before. Okay, who's the first person to come up with that? What bar were they in? What classroom were they in? It doesn't matter. In this case, I've talked about it as a bar, so Bill depicted it as a bar in the poster. Whoever came up with it, it wouldn't have impressed anybody. Somebody, maybe to be polite, would have said, "Oh, that's kind of cool, that little rhyme. It's nice. Do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want me to write it down for you?" No, it's okay. It's not. No, it wouldn't have gone anywhere, like I've said a million times. I mean, I know I'm repeating myself, and many of you've heard me talk about this in videos so many times, but it is literally a massive giveaway to reality itself, this issue. It wouldn't have gone anywhere. In the poster, Bill's cut out is, I guess, as far back as he could find, references to Humpty Dumpty in a poster, references to Humpty Dumpty on a record or on sheet music or advertising something. And again, there's just a few examples. If you add up every Humpty Dumpty reference, there's tens of thousands that somehow have found its way back through media, even like one-liners or short references in Shrek, for example. And the old guard, and even beyond the old guard, knows exactly where I'm going with this. 45 seconds or less, because it's so important for anybody new. Number one, it's a little saying poem that would have gone nowhere and would have been thrown out the day after it was invented. In some way, it's artificially carried through time because it carries tremendous spiritual meaning. You are Humpty Dumpty. You can't look outside of yourself to put yourself back together, whatever your issues or problems are. You can't look to the king's horses and the king's men, looking for the Holy Grail, searching for it out there. Searching for anything out there is a complete waste of time. You have to put yourself, in a sense, back together. And I can hear somebody screaming at me, even though they're not listening to me yet in real time. Maybe they are through the chat GPT. Matt, it could be a deception carried through time artificially. We should always have our guard up, I agree. Meaning it's saying you're Humpty Dumpty. They're telling you you had a great fall and you are broken, and the Not Milk wants to convince you that you're broken. So you take that into some sort of karma if you believe you're broken going into the moment of death, you may have manifested that on yourself. There is, of course, either way it's artificial. Either way it's carried through time artificially. It gives reality away by itself. Whether it's a true spiritual meaning and you interpret it that way, or for the first time I'm putting on the table that it could potentially be a deception, saying you're fallen when you're not fallen. If you're Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Matt, you're fallen. We're fallen. Like we came here when Lucifer came here. That's the reason it's carried through time artificially, and that's what it wants us to believe. We're fallen. And we have to put our pieces together because we're little lowlifes here when, again, it's maybe trying to hide our power. Okay, I'm putting that on the table. That is a possibility. Either way, and in both cases, it gives away how artificial Humpty Dumpty is. No normal reality could carry this thing through time when everybody in the world has heard, almost everyone in the world has heard this cute little nursery rhyme or poem or whatever it is. No real world could do that. Would have been thrown out the very first day it was invented. Matt, if it is the deception, the secret societies could keep it up. Oh yeah, they keep it up, along with the other 10,000 things they're all pulling off at the same time. Yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. You've seen this poster before, but it's the best one. And I keep referencing what the Baphomet says to the rest of the crowd of monkeys regarding little George Soros trying to give his speech. So 30 seconds or less, little George Soros is depicted as a monkey trying to give his speech about the upcoming planning and the groundbreaking in 1968. The Baphomet hovers below the eye and above the WTC, but for some reason, the rest of the monkeys in the Chernobyl Control Center at the Illuminati Center, 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl, are getting unruly. So the Baphomet, as the master of ceremonies, has to step in and say, "Silence! Let him speak." You can't see the "let him speak" part, but it's written in very small font under silence. So I just wanted to explain why I keep saying that over and over in videos. And I don't know, once I get on something like that, I'll just stay on it for months and months. So I want to explain where that came from in case I just spout that out in the future. This is Bill's depiction of how strange the Ukraine-Russian war is to people like us. It just doesn't make any sense from top to bottom. It is a reality breakdown. Although it's never a reality breakdown to certain triggered truthers, first-grade truthers. They, "Matt, didn't you see Wag the Dog?" Oh, it's always explained. Oh, yeah, if you went out there, there's no Ukrainian suffering at all. No one's. It's absolutely just Wag the Dog. And come on, man. Is it a war the way they told us or said it is? Or of course there's weird stuff going on from top to bottom. Okay, and Bill depicted it pretty much as, I don't know, as good as possibly could be, because it is that insane. So it's no different if you have the armada of the Empire's cruisers, the big cruisers coming in. What did Han Solo call them? The Karelian class or whatever cruisers. That's what the Russian army should be. That's what they always taught us, that it was equal to the United States during the USSR. But then it somehow is being fought off by little Granny, bottom left, and her stepson. He says, "Grandma, take my gun and hold them off. I'm going to fill sandbags at the beach." There was early on we were watching the world news and they were sandbagging. Like, what would that matter if the whole Darth Vader fleet of Karelian ships were coming in, or a fleet of Russian Bear Foxtrots? And you saw the Hunt for Red October, Sukhoi 27, Sukhoi 30s, the equal forces that they say they had to match the United States during the USSR. "Matt, don't you know that was so long ago? It wasn't kept up." "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Where'd all the Russian oligarchs get their money from?" "Oh, I'm sorry. It's all rusted out." And now they're on par with people in Ukraine running around with a few guns, and somehow they're holding them off. They're holding them off. "Matt, it's Wag the Dog." It's an element of that. I hear you. It's not just that. Again, the guy says, "Granny, hold them off." And she says, "I can do it. When my ammo runs out, I'll poison them with my stew." I mean, that's kind of what we're seeing. I watched the world news a few times after this. I refused to watch it. But if it was guys with guns on holding off bridges or hiding under bridges in the dirt, what would that wouldn't... Think of the movie Patton. I wasn't there, so I have to reference a movie. Think of the movie Patton, Armored Brigade charging into Germany. I mean, that couldn't be stopped by just people with guns, and that was 1943 or 44 or whatever. Come on. Boy, it is just frustrating. I'm frustrated by the people around us. Like, once again, Matt, that's what you got to get over. You're right. Here, Bill has depicted one of the last scenes in the movie Revolver, which I need to see again for a few different reasons. But this Ray Liotta gangster character has abused Jason Statham or whatever was the transporter. He's intimidated him the whole movie, abused him until Jason, he has that like Red in Shawshank moment. He just doesn't care anymore, or he knows he's more powerful. Or this movie's so kind of multi-layered. Ray Liotta could be even a figment of Jason's imagination. There's different things going on in this movie that, for me, it's worth seeing again. And at the end, he like begs Jason to fear him. He's the whole movie, he's feared him. And he's used that fear. It's like an egregor, abused him. But at the end, he has that Red from Shawshank moment in his third parole hearing. He just doesn't give a shit anymore. He has no more fear. And he walks right by him with no more fear. But because the Ray Liotta, whatever he represents in this movie Revolver, sees that Jason no longer fears him, he like begs to be feared. "Fear me, please." He needs it. Like we talked about, if we stop the conspiracy research, we crawl out of the bog. The rabbits that we were hunting will jump up on our lap. They'll beg to be hunted. This is reality, but it's not just... In this case, Fear Me, Bill, has turned into what we've talked about in the past. The rabbits, research me. Here's more breadcrumbs. You guys are getting bored? Here's another Tartaria. You guys are getting bored? Here's another mud flood. I need you back in the bog. What is that? That's from Jack Nicholson, A Few Good Men. You need me on that hill. You want me on that hill. I need you back in the bog. I need you trying to find out again what happened to the side of Pentagon. Research me. The Not Milk says, I need it. I need it for your energy. Absolutely. You understand this, you understand about half of reality, how it works. You know what you do? Do you go fight it with a pickup truck army, Matt? Do you build an Egregor that can stand against it? No. Since you're the source of energy on this entire place, you withdraw your attention and energy. We'll end with this one. Bill did something very positive, very upbeat with my concentric rings reality diagram, which is mostly negative, showing how the not milk in the screen and the asshole dark operates. The heart center is positive, but all the ways it tries to get in, all the slimy appendages that try to reach in towards your heart center, Bill turned it into a positive. The focus is on the heart-based, heart-centered personal reality bubble with the love, or what you expect, and radiating out, which should theoretically push back the outer ring. The outer ring of the screen, with its slimy hands and appendages, it always wants to make contract with you, shake hands with you, gain agreement, consensus. You believe in your straw man, you'll soon to believe in your digital twin, or your neighbor will. This outer screen reality gets closer and closer. And this is saying, very similar to what we talked about with everything, everywhere, all at once, the existentialism versus the nihilism, and what that movie was saying. Again, I want to make very clear, I was with you. I wasn't in love with that movie. But the people that loved it really loved it. And I saw the professionalism and some of the uniqueness in the way it was done, considering the crap we've been served for 20 years. It was a breath of fresh air. But this is more from that movie, the existentialism. Said, who cares what the screen is doing and everything on the bagel and the Jobu and all the crap happening? Start with your heart-based center reality bubbles and the loved ones you have in it, or your cat in it, or whatever, and have it radiate outwards. Carve out a space of love, appreciation, smelling the roses, joy, whatever it is. I mean, it is up to you. It is up to us. It cannot force us into a certain emotional state. The brain, you can still see the brain, and there is our on the outer ring of our reality heart-based center. The brain and the ego is how we let it in. Okay, that we have to use our brain. I have to use my brain to communicate with you. But again, ultimately, the way we feel, it is up to us. I mean, we have no one to blame but ourselves, and this not-nil can't just do it to us. If we're going to doom ourselves, that's a choice. That's the greatest news of all time. It cannot do it to you directly. Thus, why the entire reality is structured as a trick. It can't do it to you directly. Anything of importance here regarding spiritual battle, spiritual tug of war, what you need to do for yourself, it plays a trick so you decide to do it to yourself. Knowing we're in control of everything, the no consequences people will be very proud of me. That is the greatest news of all time. Thanks for listening.